Good afternoon. This is the second in a series, Living in Novueval Times, or the New Dark Ages. The first was basically just an introductory video, and this is going to be an overview of everything I hope to cover in the series, how I seek to cover what I think are the 5 main thrusts: environmental, cultural, economic, political, and what you can do to prepare, which covers material and psychological needs. And the short version is, regardless of how close to the target I come with these videos, a certainty is that things will change every moment, everywhere, and no one ever knows exactly what that will look like. The most prepared you can be for any eventuality is to have a balanced psyche, mental fortitude, a staunch belief in your ability to deal with things, and extreme mental flexibility. I would just like to continue with, there is a Chinese curse/blessing that goes like this: may you live in interesting times. Well, here we are. So, concerning environmental, which is what I will be covering at least briefly in this one, we will look largely at climate change, PFAS. Don't ask me what that stands for. It's a technical term for what are basically what they're calling forever chemicals, and these are in food packing, fabrics, Teflon, cleaners, paints, drinking water, fish, animals, and under those there is also PFOA and PFOS. You can look those up also. But those were phased out here in the States voluntarily, as I understand, early in the 2000s, but are still made elsewhere and shipped here. And 98% of Americans have detectable levels of these in their blood, and they might suppress the immune systems of young children, making vaccines less effective. Lovely. And we'll be covering somewhat EDCs, which are endocrine disrupting chemicals. But just to use that as an example, there is a lot of overlap between the environment, cultural influences, economics, and political issues regarding EDCs, because we hear uproar, especially from the right, about shifting demographics and falling reproductive rates among whites, but EDCs, which are in so much of modern stuff we consume, also impact sperm count, motility, and penis size. So some of the very stuff that is so precious to the economic system favored by Western culture is responsible for the possible demise of that culture, and could in fact be eliminated by the very demographic shift the right decries. In other words, the stuff that is a linchpin in the structure the right has established may be one of the things destroying them, and that structure may be dismantled through shifting demographics, thus saving the very people from the thing by the thing that they fear most. Ironic, no? And here we discuss the irony in all this, how everything cycles back upon itself, and these ironies and changes and perceived catastrophes and adjustments start small and local and broaden out in concentric circles. We've been led to believe that the graph always goes up and to the right, that all of nature could be controlled and plotted along an ever upward line involving humanity, resources, energy, money, stuff, technology, while nature is always of the notion that everything is cyclical. Who do you think is going to win that fight? The largest irony is, if human behavior doesn't change dramatically in order to maintain sustainable environments, the thing that gives us everything from our air to our rockets, nature will do it for us by denying us the resources we need to survive in numbers until our numbers are so small environments can recover. In other words, if we're not willing to change and do incredibly hard things and rise to extreme challenges, nature will force change upon us, make life incredibly hard and extremely challenging. We can do it by choice or not, but we will do it or die. There is an extremely radical belief that we can expand numbers and energy use and not only maintain but expand our so-called quality of life through more technology, even as we pollute more, create more forever chemicals and toxins which erode our ability to reproduce, and use ever more poisonous pesticides and herbicides on our crops, which kill topsoil biomes and destroy the land's ability to nourish plant life. Ironic, no? Even as we eradicate species at a rate which rivals the other extinction events, and all of it only enabled with the use of technology. Ironic, no? Progress for the sake of progress just leads to regress. Ironic, no? There are millions of others, more specific and better videos concerning the environmental catastrophe that is no longer on the horizon or even at our doorstep, but now in our living rooms. So I suggest you watch those if you need more convincing. Just be apprised, in this country alone, we've been having larger, more extreme heat and fires, especially out west, causing us to have refugees of our own, and at a time when becoming homeless is even more illegal, and whole neighborhoods being bought by investors, making home and land ownership ever more expensive and out of the reach of the average American. Salvador Dali said, "Everything is in everything else, and vice versa." And we shall see how our environmental, cultural, economic, and political views and problems are related and not just connected tangentially or peripherally, but have a great deal of overlap. Dali also said the more confusion, the better, which is fine for surrealism and outrageous showmanship, but that's what we're dealing with concerning the info we get from politicians, the business community, media, basically all sources anymore. As the information I impart in these videos seems more extreme, be aware, all projections and conjectures are as prone to error as any other, and more so the farther out they go. I'm not trying to cause panic, but instead hoping to instill a sense of calm in the face of calamity, a steadiness of character in the face of extreme and sudden changes. Things are going to get uglier, and for a long time, but that only means that as a species we have what it takes to adapt and survive, or we don't. And that is predicated on whether individuals have what it takes, and that is up to you. Things are as they are, and will change as they will, and that requires a certain acceptance and fortitude that rejects the constant mindset of outrage the media and others and even environmentalists want you to be in. Being psychologically fit and materially prepared are the best things you can do outside of reducing consumption to a bare minimum and learning as much as you can about living without civilization providing for your every need. Studies going back to the 70s show 2040 as the probable date by which widespread societal collapse will take place. I'd plan for that. So I hope to cover a lot of ground in way more detail in future videos. But until that time, be apprised, summer is coming. This will be a long one. Gird your loins. Talk to you soon.